Everybody, this is Talkative Carl back again for season 2 of Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal. I want to make a point right now. I want to make sure that, and I don't make any certain promises on when I do these TV show reviews or anime reviews, because since most of them are kind of long, when I'm done, that's when I'll send out a review. I'm not gonna make any specific promises on a specific date when I'll have it up. Same thing as I do with comics, because most of them have like long issues. So I will get right into season 3. It's only 3 seasons. I'll get right into season 3. And when I'm done, I'll get a review up, and then I'll go right into Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5, which I'm assuming has 3 seasons as well, if I remember correctly. Yep, 3 seasons. Matter of fact, it should be just about as long as this season. So, yeah. So, anyway, continuing on from where we left off from the last season, Vectrix is just solely geared towards getting his revenge on Dr. Faker, who we all know at this point, Vector is Yuma's father, Dr. Tsukumo, and Dr. Faker were all friends, and well, they became friends, but they started off like kind of like work associates when they were on the quest to search for Astral World. It was Astral or Barren World. I'm pretty sure it was Barren. Let me double check here because I'm blank on it. Which one I was looking for? Because Faker was obsessed to find other dimensions. Because his main goal was to use resources from a different dimension in order to hopefully, help his son, who was, young and frail, that kind of thing. And that was his goal. Byron Arclight, who is Vector, who later be known to be Vector, was his assistant. Cosmo Tsukumo, that was, was Yuma's father's name. And on their on his pursuit to find the resources from a possible different dimension in order to help his son, he ended up come acrossing the Barren World, and then ends up getting manipulated by Vector, this Barren guy named Vector. They made a deal in order to help his son, in order to destroy Astral World for him. And that's where he used his son, and that's why you see the moments where he used his son to like collect all certain things to constantly bombard Astral World with all this like laser fire, mined from garbage or whatever case may be. And now eventually in the Heartland tournament, Vectrix decides to completely like use his sons in order to solely to get his revenge on Dr. Faker for just completely stabbing him and Cosma in the back in order to open up this world so he can possibly save his own son, which is pretty messed up after everything they went through. So I thought, okay, this is probably like the one of the greatest like villain stories, because easily like at least in terms of Yu-Gi-Oh franchise, where a guy who's close friends with out of three people, one of them stabs his friends in the back in order to pretty much made a deal with the devil in a sense, stab his friends in the back in order to save his son. I can't really fault Faker for that, because it's like I can have like the bestest friend in the world, but as soon as my kid comes involved, then all that is fall by the wayside, unfortunately. And then I said like, oh well, like willingly stab my friend in the back in order to like help my son. I'll find like an alternate way, but I can't completely hate him. But he was easily manipulated in a sense like that. Even though it's kind of odd that he went all out, even to the point of dueling his own son and like using him in order to collect all these numbers in order to help his son, in which would result in like the suffering of other duelists who happens to have a number card. So Vectrix, understandably pissed, but the fact that that I'm assuming it was the Buried dimension that caused him to revert into a childlike form. Vectrix. I keep getting both confused. They got the same goddamn name. Yeah, it was Burying World that caused his like manifest, reverting to his childlike form. But he also caused it like part of his face look like a freaking black hole, which is a cool design, honestly. And decides like, okay, he decides to, part of manipulation, he somehow like interweave some kind of bond between him and Kite's brother Heart. So anytime, which is kind of weird when it comes to these duels, like how much is actually hurting you, or how much is it really fake? They never, not since the first generation of Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters, where, well, look, they usually easily explain why in duels you can get hurt and you actually see like scrapes and everything like that, where it's like it's a shadow game or it's the seal of Orichalcos, or it's a shadow rider or something like that, where it's like, okay, there's mystical means that makes impacts in duels physically present. It's not all holograms. Okay, I buy that. You got something that your mind can like easily grasp, and okay, yeah, I can buy this. But the fact that since, you know, there's been times, I'm not going to say since 5Ds, but it's just been moments here and there where it's like, you know, duels of sand people flying, and this, you know, show really kind of take it up to an extra edge where it's like you really catapulting in the freaking air, like, and it's like you're not in like it's no silver orichalcos or anything like that. It's like, why are you like, you know, how much is this really hurting you? I mean, at least with, you know, Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5, the hologram projections evolve to a certain point where there's like a heart-like construct type of things. So they take up a level of physical presence, but not so much where you can hurt kids in a way, you know, because kids are playing mostly these games. But it's just so confusing to me. But anyway, their bond is like intricately tied at this point where he can actually, you know, show like a hologram visage of Heart to mess with Kite when he's dueling him, but also when he gets hurt, Heart feels it too by showing the fact that look at me when I pinch myself, and you see like a, you know, display video of Heart getting hurt by the pinch. So the kind of Yuma then decides like, okay, I'm gonna take orbital, go to find Heart, and he eventually, thanks to the golden key he wears, he managed to get him and Astro gets to the mindscape of Heart, breaks the link between Vectrix and Heart. So now Kite can go all out, but he still loses to Vectrix. Now it's down to Vectrix and Yuma to duel. And you get this big backstory, and now, like, you know, Faker just completely, you know, backstabbed them, Vectrix and Yuma's father. And he doesn't, like, you know, he remembers all the same, you know, power friendship stories, because, you know how a lot of these heroes win in these in Yu-Gi-Oh! Franchise, like the power friendship thing. And he tells Yuma about that same rhetoric. It's the same rhetoric that his father always spew. And I bought it at first until Faker proved us wrong by stabbing us in the back. And you should be working with me because like the reason your father is missing is because of Faker. But Yuma refused to buy into that, and he ends up beating Vectrix. Very cool duel. But then, because Shark and Kite obviously got injured in their duels, still recovering, but those two, and Yuma decides to take the fight to Faker and do a 3-on-1 duel in order to stop Faker's machinations and open up a bridge to the Barian world, which would cause a devastation to the, you know, Earth realm, pretty much, in the sole pursuit of helping helping Heart. And that's where you learn about like Vectrix and not Vectrix, Vector, who we don't get a name, but we see like a shadowy image of Vector, who's been manipulating Faker's emotions and hiding them to a certain degree. And so you get this cool 3-on-1 duel, but Shark and Kite, you know, do as much as they can despite their injuries, which kind of heightens the tenseness of this duel, because they're fighting at best 70 to 80%. But then after they beat him, and then Vector promises, I'll get you next time, Gadget, kind of thing. They Yuma dives in to save Faker and Kai, which shows Faker that what Kazuma Tsukumo has always talked about, like duels can make bonds of friendship thing. And then Vectrix shows up after supposedly falling into the world of I don't know, it was Astral World he fell into, or Barian World. It was like it just fell into the dimension and comes back. And this is where like I cry foul to a certain degree, where these two did just after losing to a duel, they do a complete 180 on their attitude. And yeah, you can say one's being manipulated, but it was just like there should be some level of degree of acknowledging, like, okay, like I see the error of my ways. I need time to process this. Because like you see something like Merrick, where it's not a complete 180. Sure, he probably had like a severe case of DID, but it wasn't all on Dark Merrick. He did at least like a level of degree of ill will himself, and he had to sit and process that. You see it in the episode where a comatose Odeon sitting in bed, and he's, even though he's possessing Tay at the time, he's sitting next to him by his bedside, contemplating his faults, acknowledging, wow, I really screwed up in my pursuit and my anger towards the Pharaoh and everything like that. You don't get it here. It seems like too quick of an easy, oh, they're good guys now. And it's like, no, I want them to sit and process this, or at least an episode, so that way their turn to the good side feels a little bit more earned. But then you get like a cool duel, because Yuma actually wants like a duel with Kite, even wanting that, like a good no strings attached duel with him for the first time. And of course Kite's ironically heart is not in this, because he's always been dueling for his brother, and that's what's driving him. Now that issue has been resolved, and I guess Heart's health is restored at this point, all that has been like dealt with. Now it's like he lost his kind of purpose of dueling, but then Yuma reminds him the joys of dueling again. And of course, and this is, I think I mentioned this in the first season, Kite is the first, one out of two rival duelists in the entire Yu-Gi-Oh franchise that never lost to the main protagonist. I think the only other one was in Arc 5. I think that was Declan Akuba. I think though him and Kai was the only two rival characters that never lost to the main character, which is almost unprecedented in a lot of anime. So then we move on to now like the variants, these cloaked, shadowy figures who've been waiting behind the scenes, who's been like essentially the rivals of Astral World, where Astral comes from, and the whole purpose of collecting all these numbers in order to regain Astral's lost memories. But it turns out there's more than just 100 numbers. Now you got these variant cards coming into play, and we meet up with some new characters. What was these variant guys' names? Garak, Alito, Mazar, Duman, and Vector. And Garak and Alito get sent to the human world, and they have like a human visage, because in Barian they have a more like alien type of look to them. They got different skin tones, no lips, and but they're cool designs. I mean, Vector probably had the better design, and I think like the animators probably had a lot more fun with this Kai than because the way like when he's just going completely insane, he's kind of like, you know, this version of Yame Merrick, just completely out of his gourd. It's like the animators, you literally get him up close in the camera. It's like, you come on. It's like the way his like eyes just quit like and go all over the place. It was just like, okay, y'all clearly was having fun with that, and I'm not mad at it. But that was really funny. But then you meet Garag, and when you meet Garag and Alito, you're like, okay, these guys mean serious business. But this goes into, they start meaning business, but then they get goofy, and that's my biggest issue with Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal as a whole. As I mentioned in my season 1 review, Zexal and Arc 5 seems like they've gone, you know, like they're like parodies of what Yu-Gi-Oh! Used to be, where everybody's wearing the goofiest looking things, got the goofiest looking hair, and everybody's playing so cartoony except for maybe a few, you know, characters. Shark and Kite are probably like the best characters out of this entire Zexal stuff. Vector to an extent too, and because they're like the straight men out of this entire running, and it's like, God, it's just I cannot deal with Yuma especially, man, because it's nothing wrong with, you know, some lighthearted main protagonists, because little Yugi had like his, you know, silliness from time to time, but he knows when to take things seriously in a way. Because Yuma, sure, he's a kid, but I don't know if the writers wanted to break away from your typical, what you expect from your typical main protagonist. Because yeah, you know, Yusei was relatively all business, but you know, he had his lighter moments, and it seems a genuine lighter moment when he's hanging out with the orphans and playing around. He had a smile on his face. He's playing around, but even Jaden, even in the early on stages of GX, Jaden, sure, he has his kooky moments, but it seems, you know, in a way genuine, in my opinion. It's like, you know, like he's excited for dueling, and like, oh yeah, let's go on, get your game on, let's do this, and but I think that the proper word is probably seem competent. I think that's part of the word here, because we all have our silly moments, the goof off moments, sure, but Yuma seems way too goofy for my taste for a main protagonist. It's like he's like hopping around, that attitude, and it's like I'm like, this kid is almost insufferable. People talk crap about Jaden, but Jaden has growth. It's like little by little each season, his like the childishness, it like it doesn't like go away, but it's it's balanced out now, where it's not all fun, and he learns that everything's all fun and games, but he doesn't lose that youthful spirit either. And sure, Yuma is a child, but it just seems like it's just insufferable attitude. It's insufferable kiddishness. It's like you lean way too hard into kiddishness. And the aside from Kite, Rio, and her brother Shark, for real, finally gets out of that coma, and she becomes like a big deal halfway through the season. Aside from them, everybody is just so like goofy looking, annoying, especially the supposed love interest. Well, as a matter of fact, there's 3 love interests for Yuma, but we already know it's gonna be like that. Crap, what's her freaking name? Crap. I don't even freaking know her name. Don't even like her to even care. But I gotta do it, to do this properly. What's her doggone name? What is her doggone name? Come on, where is it? Tori, that was her name, Tori. Tori's freaking annoying. So is Bronk, Flip. I don't even know why Flip is still among the friends list. And that don't even want to look up his freaking name. That freaking hall monitor kid who's super obsessed with being like the valedictorian or whatever. I don't know what the heck, the class rep or whatever. It's like all y'all suck. There's no charming thing. I won't say there's no charming thing about them, but I'm just saying, like, y'all got a clear stupid gimmick and you're just leaning too hard in it, and y'all just goofy little side characters. It's the same way how Duel Monsters treated Weevil and Rex later on at the end of Duel Monsters run. They just applied that same ethic, or at least that blueprint, on all these characters, and now they're just goofy butt, sidekicks. And Tori's just pretty much the cheerleader. Yuma, you can do it. You can do it, Yuma. Shut up. All you shut up. You're useless. All of y'all are useless. I mean, even Joey can, is a better set up character. He has goofy moments too, but he not only is a great duelist, but he is a badass in his own right, and he's not going to stand on the sidelines when he can do something. And I was like, oh my god, you guys are freaking useless. Brock was the worst best friend. You got like cool best friend to the main protagonist like Joey, Crow, hell, even Cyrus was better. Cyrus had at least an arc where he started off as timid and shy, but he grew into himself, but he still was like a decent duelist. You guys are freaking useless. I hate all of them. I do not like them. It's like, oh my god. It's like this insufferable amount of characters that we gotta follow, and it's like, why all y'all here? And Kathy, oh my god, she probably like the worst in my opinion. And it's like, you doing this cat gimmick and it's super annoying. I was like, and you do this on, it's a catastrophe. Meow. It's like, get your ass out of here. What are you doing here? You're useless. You got a useless deck. Oh my god. I hate all of them. It's like, oh my god, you do not need to be here. And it's like, I didn't think it was even possible to be more annoying than Taya, but I think they found a freaking way. I think it was because they, the people who worked, certain people that worked on Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters up to 5Ds, after 5Ds, a lot of them kind of left or something, and now, certain other people came in, and that's why I probably didn't care for Zexal or Arc 5 as much as I did the other past 3, but it's just like insufferable parodies of what the franchise used to be, and I cannot stand it. But Uh, then Baron starts coming in, like Garag and Alito, who, their decks kind of suck. At least where you get something from those battling boxer cards from Alito, but clearly Alito's like, all about, fighting and honor and stuff like that. But Garag seems like he's a serious badass or something like that. But he turns into a goofy but real quick for no reason, and then even showing up here and there, even though clearly he's the bad guy, but he's showing up to offer help with sure it's supposed to be subterfuge and everything like that, but it's offering up help with Yuma, fixing things with his friends and because they're bickering or something or other. But it's like, why do you trust them or care? It's like, it makes no sense for any interaction. You would not see the first season of Yu-Gi-Oh! With Pegasus stopping by and fixing the fight between, Joey and Tristan when they had like a falling out because Tristan didn't believe in Joey to duel by himself without any advice. That would be so dumb. It's like, why would you even buy that? There was no point to that. That was stupid writing, in my opinion. And I can't even blame the animators. I'm assuming that might have happened to the manga too. I'm not sure, but if it did, that was dumb. And I'm sorry to the late Kakahashi, but just in my opinion, that would have been dumb if that wasn't in the manga and the writers of the animators took it upon themselves to include that, because from time to time certain animators of the dubs, or even dub and sub, take it upon themselves to include certain filler stuff that wasn't in the manga and took some liberties. That if that was the case, it's very dumb on those animators to do that, because it makes no goddamn sense. And then like the real deal starts coming in. Like you get like Mazar, Alito, and Dumont coming in, and now instead of relying on these filler episodes, giving variant cards to these one-off goofy gimmicky characters to duel for them, because they can't duel on their own without their variant powers for some goddamn reason. So they got these little diamond cube type things in order to make these pyramid things, so the duel inside, so they can pretty much bring in the piece of variant to the earthly realm, so they can take on their form to duel properly themselves. But then things get so serious with Yuma when he's dealing with Mazar, but he's losing faith in his dueling capabilities, because variant cards, their XC's cards can steal overlay units from regular XCs, so pretty much rendering them almost useless. So now Yuma is like losing like faith. Like, how can I combat this? Because I'm barely winning by the skin of my teeth at this point. Which is like a decent arc for Yuma, because now he's got, okay, I gotta think if I'm losing, because like you get like a certain moment where the main character loses faith in his capabilities when things start taking a turn, where now he gotta figure out a way to up his game. Now he's in with Mazar, and he's like, he's knocked out of it, but then Kite jumps in and duels in his place and beats Mazar. Now it's because he has like a Tachyon dragon to offset the Galaxy Eyes dragon. So now these two Galaxy Eyes type of dragons are going head to head, and Mazar is like, who's the better Galaxy Eyes user now. So then we meet up with his other new character, Ray, who is pretty much almost played like a joke, but now it's like, okay, he's supposed to be some kind of Yuma fanboy, and who barely can duel his way out of a cardboard box. Then after beating Alito in a duel, Ray turns out to be a Baron himself. Vector, who then, because through some machinations of his own, he hurt Alito, who garage things like, oh, Ray, it hurts my friend. Now realizing that was his Barian partner, because he's keeping his own thing a secret. But then after Yuma beat Garag, on some one-on-one with Yuma, because Astro's like healing from all the Barian duels and stuff like that, because he's from Asteroid, and I guess being like the whole Barian thing and constantly losing, when Yuma loses life points, he starts fading a little bit, so he's kind of like trying to recuperate his energy. Ray tells Yuma, he tells him this bold-faced lie, which gives him another grievance I have with Yuma. Tells this bold-faced lie about him being like he got his kooky badge, like I'm from the Barian world, I'm a police officer and gotta stop these guys, but I need you to keep my identity a secret, because even from Astro, because I don't want I want to remain undercover while I deal with this. And he gives Yuma these Barian cards and tells him, like, in order to combat these guys, you need a leg up. Here are these cards. Don't tell anybody where you got it from, because they're going to be questioning things, and I need to bring my cover, but I need you to be able to be on your game and stuff like that. And like, Yuma is such an idiot. Sure, he's a child, but I know clearly children who are definitely smarter than this. Sure, they can be gullible because they're still kids, but you don't question. You're just all in on, like, yeah, I'm with a Barian cop. Yeah, this is gonna be awesome. And it's like, yeah, maybe he's a middle school kid or something like that, but it's just like, dude, and besides, Astro supposed to be able to read minds, because that was established in like the first few episodes of the series, where at the time when Yuma wasn't listening to Astro and he's just thinking to himself, then Astro clearly showed that he can read his mind, because they're so tied together at this point. So why does not Astro read Yuma's mind when he feels like Yuma's keeping stuff from him? So you can say, like, maybe like Astro is like respecting that boundary, or feel like we're at a point where we don't really need to keep secrets from each other. I completely trust him. But it's just like, when you get inkling repeatedly of feeling like Yuma's keeping something serious from him, it's like you don't like peer inside and see what's going on to know that he's using the because he had to find out at the last minute that he's using the Barian cards during a duel, and like, where you get that from? And he's clearly lying. And it's like, Astro is not like using his freaking head, even though he's supposed to be like the smart one. And Yuma is too gullible to be for his own good to not raise the questions. Like, okay, I can't. It's kind of suspicious. You won't let me tell the guy who's going to be able to read my mind not to come clean about this kind of situation. It seems very contrived to cause later conflict, at the end of the season. I think it's all completely dumb. Then it all comes completely pear-shaped when like a complete clone of Vector shows up to duel Yuma, but then he kidnaps Ray. So now there's a race to go to the Barian world in order to save Ray. So then all these goofy little characters that really half of them should not even be here anymore. I can at the very least tolerate Gronk and Tori, because they're like the stereotypical best friend and obvious love interest. Sure, they probably should be tagging along. But these other guys, like Flip, should have been like a one-off character. I should not have seen Flip at all. But here comes Kathy as well. Here comes these goofballs coming along. I don't care. They should not even be here. And then they come across, because there's this inner ship inside of the golden key of Yuma that unlocks, Astro unlocks, so that way conveniently they have like a ship to carry them to Baryon World. So all those friends, Rio, Shark, and Kite, and Orbital, and along with Yuma and Astro, go on a ship and somehow manages to know how to utilize the components of this ship to steer into the Baryon World and drive it. I'm willing to buy Kite because he's more like the scientist of the group. He knows how to use tech, so I can buy that he's able to figure out how to drive this ship. But once they get to Baryon World and they start this 3-on-3 duel against Dumon, Mizar, and Vector with Yuma, Shark, and Kite. And then there's because the Baryon World is kind of in flux, so they gotta, at least the Sargasso area, which turns out to be like an actual field spell in the card game, and it's unstable, and there's black holes about to suck in the ship. So all these other side characters somehow turn to Star Trek characters and figure out turn that ship starboard and go on check the meters on this and blah blah blah. How do you guys even know how to do any of this stuff? You're kids, you're middle school kids, and somehow you know how to work not only a ship but an alien ship on top of that and steer your way out of the black hole. Completely dumb. But then this is where we get the best part, and there's good parts throughout don't get me wrong, there's all good parts out of the second season, but the really best parts in my opinion happen at these this 4 episode duel between these 6 people, 3-on-3, and that's where you see Vector reveal his machination to Yuma, the fact that he is really Ray this whole time, and he uses power to split himself into a clone, so that way the clone, or at least his, I don't know if it's supposed to be I think it was his real self was playing as Ray, and his clone version of Vector body remains behind to play the villain, and shows that I gave you these Baryon cards in order to, because I knew he was going to use it, so I have cards in play to force you to almost deck out, to put most of your cards in the graveyard, so that way you can use the Baryon cards to upgrade Utopia to its powerful form, Utopia Ray V. And everybody's just flabbergasted that Ray was actually Vector, so Tony completely played us, but Yuma is taking it extremely hard, where he's now he's a petulant little kid, you don't lie to me, how could you? And Astro's trying to calm his ass down, no, he's doing it, I can't believe it. Of course, yeah, sure, you can feel utterly betrayed because you pretty much play me like a fool, and sure, I can buy the anger, but now you're maybe because you can make the argument, yeah, he's a little kid, so now it's kind of heightened because it's all those hormones, everything's heightened. So you can make the argument, but it seems you putting too much extra sauce on it, in my opinion. So now Astro is already perturbed too, because wow, you're supposed to be partners and you kept this hidden from me. On top of that, using cards from the Baryon World, who we seen has been using these cards, which is ironic because you're gonna be using those cards later on as part of your main deck anyway. So you give them this grief, clearly for nothing because you don't get rid of them. But you've been using these Baryon cards utilized by our enemies in order to find a way to, because your ego that you can't figure out, or talk with your partner in order to figure out how to way to, even though you've been using at least you got 2 or 3 cards from your dueling master that he gave to you before you went on vacation in order to be able to counteract certain things that Barons might use, like one card that kind of seals up his overlay units to keep from being stolen away. You can really ignore that because you gotten so used to using these variant cards, in my opinion, would have been a better idea is that using these variant cards is almost like the Venom suit from Spider-Man, where it's almost like a drug. Once you get a taste of it, it seems like it caters to, like, it kind of feeds off your emotions and kind of like your negative emotions. It's like, I need this to win, I can't win without it, and that's where it will cause like the friction between Astro and Yuma, because Yuma stopped relying on his own skills that he's been building over time, because he sucked early on in the series, which is kind of like a cool break away from the typical main protagonist, where they already are skilled and just get even better over time. Sure, there's some bumps and rolls, but they're still very skilled. Yuma is not as skilled, but grows in his own over time. Getting these bearing cards can be like exacerbate that, where it's like, I gotta get better because I gotten better, but then I'm getting stonewalled with somebody who using cards not of this earth, and I need to be able to get over that because I'm being played like a chump now, and it's like all my skills meant nothing. So that would have been better served as like something like, you know, like, oh, not only it causes you, sure, the variant stuff, you get this little mask on your face, and it's like, it's kind of corrupt your spirit, but you don't have that with Yuma, where, well, in a way, I would have been better players. Like, instead of the whole mask thing, this can be like a symbiote thing, where it's like, I need this because my insecurities or my fears, it exacerbate that, and when you do it and you get rid of that, take that card away, it stops the, you know, that kind of corruption. That should have been like that with Yuma, to, or at least where it's like he needs it in a way. It's like, I needed to be powerful, I needed to be able to win and save everybody. But here you just like, oh, you did not tell me that you use this card, and it's like, you know, I can't trust you. Now you get this kind of cool moment where it's like they use this Zexal morph Power Ranger thing, where they team, like they overlaid together Astro and Yuma, and you get this cool union. But now it's twisted because Astro, who is learning about humanity through Yuma and his friends, now get a taste of something he never experienced before: betrayal. And it's kind of like, you know, feeding that dark part of him, because you see this dark Astro, which gets a cool moment where it's like, you know, before they go into the old Barian world, they get tested by this kind of like inside this key, when it's kind of inner mech warrior thing, and they're losing, and then Dark Astro shows up like, you let me out, I can help you, you need me. Because in a way you kind of learn about like yin and yang and balance, and it's something that Astro and Yuma have to learn. It's like, you know, there are certain parts of your dark half isn't all evil. It's just like, you know, anger is a part of the yang in a way, you know, but it's just, you know, anger and distrust and a little bit of cynicism, is a little bit of that is healthy, because it keeps you being played like a chump and gives you some sense of security, not insecurity, in healthy amounts. It gives you like a understanding about boundaries, and it is, like I said, you're not being played like a chump all the time. A healthy amount that you need. So trying to lock him away isn't probably the way to go. Is to like learn to balance each other out in order to be able to be a better version of you. I think I like that episode a lot. But then it's like, you know, Astro is getting overwhelmed by this sense of betrayal, and, you know, and the lying and everything like that, and it's like, you know, it's something that he hasn't experienced before, now is overtaking him because he's not used to it. But then they get over that because, you know, you got like a crazed, wild Yuma, but then like they overcome that. He beats back Vector finally, by the skin of his teeth. But then like the location's getting like unstable, so they break off the duel because they're on the back end. And honestly, they just barely about to lose, and so they, the season ends with them getting out of this unstable location in a different part of the Barian world. So now that's where it ends. But yeah, like I said, there's good parts in this, but the bad stuff that I'm talking about is stuff that is carrying on throughout the Zexal 3 seasons. The extra characters is annoying. Yuma is just too childish to be charming. Is insufferable. The only good characters, honestly, is Kite and Shark and Rio and the Barians. Well, not at the start. Garak and stuff seemed like very cool, but Garak is the only Barian that I didn't care for. The other Barians are very cool, but all this other stuff, man, it just seems, once again, parody of themselves. The writing choices, or at least the narrative with certain characters doing certain things, seems so dumb, and without just asking certain questions or not being played so naive just to fit the story to make it go the way you want to, all of it seems dumb. But I think it's getting better because the way like the season is ending, it started off fairly strong and it ends fairly strong. Is the middle part is just like iffy here and there. But like I said, like, the animation of the way they design Vector is so funny to me, and they have a whole lot of fun with that, and I'm not mad at that. But yeah, I will eventually start, get into season 3 to wrap up the Zexal franchise, and then I will get right into arc 5. But if you've seen Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal, let me know what you think of these characters. Am I in the wrong for, about certain characters? Like, you want to fight for their behalf, let me know what you think and how they're better to you. Maybe I'm not seeing it, but they're just annoying as hell to me. And it's like they're not like they're supporting characters. The supporting characters previously in Zexal, in 5Ds, GX, and Duel Monsters, they were great. See, GX has like a fair amount of side characters, but those side characters had layers to them, and you're interested in them. They got better designs, like Jim Crocodile Cook, clearly based off of Crocodile Dundee or Steve Irwin, but he had so much to him that you want to know more about him, to a certain extent. Or you get to know about him and how he got a pet crocodile named Shirley and everything like that. But about his like paleontology background and stuff like that, and he has like a fair bit of dueling skill in his own right, kind of thing. But it's like none of these other characters don't get better. Even to like 5Ds. To be fair, 5Ds, the supporting characters that you meet early on kind of fade to the background, and you don't see them anymore because your focus now on Crow, Jack, Akiza, and the twins. But then like somebody like the guys that you say met in the prison, and like the people he was friends with early on kind of fell by the wayside, which is fine because they weren't very interested in that much anyway. So it was a good idea to just like let them kind of fade away and show up every now and again to see they're still around. They should have done that here with these guys, because like at the very least focus on, if you want some best friend characters that follow along to support Yuma, Gronk and Tori should be the only two, and putting more energy into them is rather than bring on Flip and the Valvatorian kid and Kathy. It's like, We don't need them. I'm drawing on, but you know what I'm talking about. God, it is terrible. And Arc 5 pretty much recycles some of the same characters we've seen in previous shows, except for, you know, dual monsters. And it's like, I can't even count that because it's like your supporting characters are repeats for the most part. So I can't even count you. You don't count because you recycle in the same people. And I haven't seen Range yet. So I'm going to reserve my judgment until then. But anyway, I will see you guys later on tonight. I'm going to get some dinner first. Then I will hop back onto more Diablo 4 and more Overwatch 2. But like and subscribe. Share this with your friends if you're watching this on YouTube. And I'll see you all soon. Take care.